Right, hi everybody, it's Richard from the Homeschool Freedom Club, and today I've got another interview lined up with another home ed parent who is basically doing the homeschooling, the world schooling, earning an income, and we're going to have a chat with them about how all this fits together. So, welcome, Kelly. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, can you just do a little bit of an introduction about yourself? Tell us a little bit about who Kelly is.
Yeah, sure. I'm an Australian, probably guess that by the accent. I'm a homeschooling parent of five. I've had various online businesses since 2007. Um, what else? I'm married. I like to run. Yeah, lots of different things. And we like to travel, as Richard
Yeah.
said. So I'm in Greece at the moment.
So, how old are your children?
I've got Here we go. So my eldest is 20. They've just all had their birthdays. They all sort of had the birthdays at the
Yeah,
same time. So I
that
have to
time,
think
yeah.
about this for a second. So my eldest is 20. So she is a registered nurse now. She's finished her uni degree and she started working. My next two are twins. So they're 19. They're working in Far North Queensland on the sugarcane. So if
Yeah,
you've been to Australia and you've seen the little yellow trains that go around, they're on there and they're waiting to join the police force. My two sons are 17 and 15, so they're the ones who are traveling with us at the moment. The eldest has a syndrome, so when we get back to Australia, we'll be doing the whole disability employment, life support stuff.
right.
And my 15-year-old now is really the only one who is homeschooling. Yeah, so he pretty much does his own thing now. He's 15, and when we get back in a few months, he'll be ready to kind of start that transition into adult life, work and study and all those kinds of things.
Yeah. So, how long have you been sort of homeschooling and world schooling for?
Homeschooling is from the start, so the kids have never been to school. So yeah, we had them quite close together. We had five under five, and the first four were only 2 years apart. So we didn't intend to homeschool at the
That's,
start. We didn't
yeah,
really know it was a thing. Yeah, we just pictured them. I remember walking past the local school and going, "Oh, it'd be nice when they go there, and we can walk them up with their little school bags and all that kind of stuff." So as I mentioned, my fourth was born with a syndrome. And,
yeah,
when he was a year old, we were going, there's no point in sending him to school. Like at best, it's going to be pointless for him. And at worst, it could be quite harmful for him.
yeah,
So we thought we'll look into homeschooling. And at that time, we didn't know anything about it. We thought it was school at home.
yeah,
So I started looking into it and went, oh, okay. Read some really good books because this was 2006 and yeah, and said, oh, okay, this can be really good. People are doing all this interest-led learning. They're doing all these great projects and stuff their kids are interested in. We don't have to do workbooks. We don't have to stick to the curriculum, all that kind of stuff. And at that time too, my eldest was 3.
yeah,
And she already knew everything that she needed to know by the end of her first year at school, which would be when she was nearly 6.
yeah,
So we could also look at her and say, well, she's going to have the same problems I had in school of getting really bored. And then because I got so bored, I got very disengaged. I got into trouble a lot, all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
And we thought, well, we'll just give it a shot with her as well. What have we got to lose? If it doesn't work, we'll just send them to school.
yeah,
So yeah, none of them ever went to school. 4 have finished homeschooling now, and so the experiment seems to have worked.
yeah.
Yeah, overall, I look back and I don't think I did an amazing job, but they've all somehow grown up to be pretty amazing people. So,
But
yeah, I'm
I
happy
mean,
with that.
I think this is the concern that a lot of parents have because the idea of doing these interviews is, apart from giving people ideas about how they can sort of home educate and earn, is the people that are maybe sat on the fence and are kind of,
Mm,
you have all these fears, don't you, before you start doing it? It's like, can I teach them? Who am I to do this?
yeah.
Am I going to kill them if they're at home all day? And how am I going to earn money? And also, but there is that final thing about the end product of like, okay, so when they get to that age where, like, if
Mm,
they were in school, they'd be doing exams. How are they going to fit in? Are they gonna get a job? What can they go to college? Can they
mm.
go to uni? So and clearly that isn't an issue.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. And when my kids were little, I started going to homeschool groups and I would always talk to the teenagers. And that was really reassuring for me because the teenagers they all seemed to be quite mature. They were quite knowledgeable. They were all really interesting people. They all had quite strong interests and passions. They all seemed to, and be happy to talk about them with adults. And yeah, so that was always something I recommend now that people of young kids do. You know, go to your homeschool group and just talk to some teenagers and check them
Yeah.
out. And generally, you're pretty impressed. I always found I was pretty impressed with them.
Yeah, I must admit. I mean, when we were in the UK, we had a homemade group right on our doorstep. We were in sort of a very rural part of the country, and yet there was a group would
Mm.
meet in our village, and it is great when you find that community and support. Because you can, you from that you see that a lot of those fears are
Mm.
actually quite unfounded. You see normal, functional kids, who are doing the things that kids do, but just not in a school setting.
Yeah.
And they've got that.
Yeah, and in a lot of cases, I found they were kind of more normal and functional than the
Yes.
teenagers at school who were just kind of these like mysterious, moody creatures who seemed to be unable to talk to me in lots of cases. So yeah, I found it quite reassuring.
Yeah, no, I mean it is, and it does help to see that kind of side of things as
Mm.
well. So you got five kids, though only two are traveling with you. So how are you making that work from a work perspective, and how are you financing the world schooling? How are you
Yeah,
fitting that in with the home education? I mean, it's probably a bit easier now that your kids are older, but when they
so
were
much easier.
younger and you had like five of them kind of running around at home, how were you sort of making that balance?
Um, yeah, well, I didn't have as much time when they were younger. So I should probably do a bit of a background to what I've done. So, like I said, I've had multiple businesses. I used to started in about 2007. So I used to make and sell cloth nappies and tie-dye clothes.
Yeah,
I then, and that was when they were quite little, and that worked because that would just be, I could sit in a lounge room and I could sew while they were busy doing something in the room with me. Sometimes they would come to markets with me. And back then it wasn't, we weren't relying on that income. It was a nice extra, and allowed my husband to work less. But, there was no pressure on me to do that because I had lots of little kids. I didn't have the time to get stuck right into that. Um, I then ran a homeschooling business called Fearless Homeschool from 2015 until I sold it at the end of last year. So I started that one partway through my nursing degree because the reality of nursing full time horrified me. And my husband, he was studying at the same time,
yeah,
and I had been looking at starting an online business for years, but I had the young kids. We were intentionally very low tech. We
yeah,
didn't actually have internet in the house until we studied, so an online business just didn't fit. And back then, say 2014-ish, we were also looking at it and going, well, is all this stuff actually real? We don't know anyone personally doing this, and these people online that are talking about it seem legit, but it seemed like much more reliable to actually go to uni, get a nursing degree, have a guaranteed job. You've got that pathway all mapped out for you. It's pretty much guaranteed. Um, but yeah, once we saw the reality of nursing, we said, okay, it's worth looking into this. Like we can't just rely on this because it's hard and the shift work is
yeah,
hard. And after we'd had a life, that was sort of like low stress and low work, and where we got to do our own thing a lot of the time, it was very hard to get back into that
yeah,
sort of, getting ready for work, doing what you're told, having constraints on your time, all that sort of stuff. Um, yeah, so I started Fearless Homeschool. I didn't have any real knowledge of what I was doing. I just learned along the way, and I ran that for 8 years. I ran a yearly summit, so like an online conference. That was really, really popular. It still is. The new owner is actually running this year's summit right now. And I also ran some online homeschooling courses, and I did some affiliate marketing as well. So yeah, I think too, when I started that, I was really definite that if I was going to create a business, it had to work for me and our life, which
yeah,
meant, low hours, the ability to drop it, pick it up whenever I wanted, the ability to do it anywhere because we've spent a lot of time traveling. I think about 6 years all up since we've had kids.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and just for it generally to fit around my life instead of the other way around. So when you talk about balance, and it was more like, okay, I have this little bit of time that I can
yeah,
cram a business into.
yeah,
What are the most important things to do? Like, how can I focus, get as much done as possible in those small chunks of time? Like I said, I ran the summit once a year, which meant I was quite busy for a few weeks, but it made a lot of money in a very short period of time.
yeah,
Um, and then the rest of the year was fairly relaxed. So yeah, I didn't have to work every week. I wasn't exchanging hours for wages. So if I stopped, the income didn't stop. And that made it quite easy to fit in the home ed, to travel, to have a farm, because we've also done that for stretches too. I've done a couple of stints nursing, all sorts of stuff, basically.
Yeah.
So it was more just starting off with that end in mind of going like, okay, I have this life. It's not going to change anytime soon. So
Yes.
what can I do to fit in with that?
Yeah. And this is it, isn't it? You can, I think this is one of the things a lot of people don't understand, is that you can actually make conscious decisions in that,
Yes.
especially when you do decide to set up your own business. And I mean, obviously, it helps if it's not the sole source of income, so you've not got that pressure to bring
Mm,
to bring money in. But there's no reason why, as you're saying, you can't grow that into a successful business as well.
yeah.
Still just fitting into like the sort of the nooks and crannies of the day where there's nothing doing. I think, you know,
Mm,
presumably did you have some sort of a daily routine or something, some sort of daily
mm,
method of operation where like these are the things I must do, that I have to do on a daily basis to keep things ticking over, and then maybe other stuff
mm.
that you had a list of. Because for me, always the tough part is, or it was before I got myself properly organised, it was like, oh, I've got like an hour or I've got 20 minutes or something. What should I do? And I'd spend 10 minutes probably
Yes.
trying to figure out what to do.
Working it out.
And
Yeah.
then it just doesn't work. And so for me, eventually, it was a case of, okay, these are the non-negotiables that I need to get done each day. I get up early, I get
Mm.
those done before everybody's awake, and then after that, I have a list of stuff that would be
I'm
nice to do,
pretty
but
much
doesn't
the
start.
same.
Yeah,
And once you get that done, if you
yeah,
procrastinate for a bit after that, it doesn't matter so much. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I was studying full time when I had the kids,
yeah,
and that was the most hectic. But it was really good in a way, because I think I got a couple of weeks in and I went, I can't just fit this in the gaps. And I started getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I could get 2 or 3 hours done before the kids got up and actually needed me. Um, and because I had that one chunk of time, that was when I was like, okay, at the end of each day, I'm going to make sure that I know exactly what I'm doing the next morning. So I've got an assignment. I'm going to make sure that the right tabs on my computer are open, so
yeah,
that when I wake up in the morning and I stumble in there and I'm still half asleep and I open it up,
yeah,
it's right there in front of me. I'm not sitting there going, oh, what should I do? Because that's when you go, I'll just check my emails or something like that. So
yeah. It's true.
definitely that, yes, that definitely helped with that. So always having that priority list. I pretty much stopped doing social media in the last business, and I'm not doing it in this business. Again, because I just looked at it, I was doing quite well on Instagram in 2017, but then when I looked at the stats, I went, it's not really driving any traffic to my website. It's not actually sending people to my site who are then going on to buy things or sign up to my email list or whatnot.
Yeah,
So, I stopped doing Instagram. Yeah, and it's just looking at all of that and going, okay, what are the number one things I need to do?
yeah,
And it's generally make products, look after the people who have already bought things from you, look after your email list, because they're much more likely to buy things from you. And that's about it, really.
yeah,
So
yeah.
everything has to be aimed at that.
And what are you doing now? So you said you sold your homeschool business at the end of last year, but you've got
Yes.
a
Yeah.
but you're not sort of content to leave that there. You're working on something new now.
No, I can't go back to like an hourly wage now. So,
Yeah.
so I had 3 months off. And then at the start of the year, I started Business in Your Backpack. So
Yeah.
it's teaching online business to homeschoolers, travelers, world schoolers, all of that. Yeah, and it's been really fun because I built the last business and now I kind of know what I'm doing. It's been really fun to kind of map that out and go, okay, how fast can I grow this? What are the essential things to do from day one?
Yeah.
Um, what should I do first, second, third, all that kind of stuff. It's just amazing. I'm already at I think it took me about 18 months to get to this stage last time, and
Yeah.
I've done it in 10 weeks. So
Yeah.
a
Wow.
bit
It
of
makes such a
experience really
difference.
pays off. Knowing what to do first and all that, it makes a huge difference.
But I think also, I think it helps if you're gonna go into something and work for yourself. You want something that gels with you and that you're gonna feel in flow, rather
Mm,
than sort of like trying to push water uphill. It's
yes.
because if it feels like that, then you need to make some changes, don't you? Because it's going to be hard
Yeah.
work, and it shouldn't be. at the end of the day.
That's
I
it.
think, when you run a business, it's, you should enjoy it. It should be fun.
Mm.
You should get something from it other than just money. You should get some sort of
Yes.
from doing it, because otherwise you might as well be in a job,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah, that's it.
And
Yeah, and the homeschooling stuff felt like that for the last couple of years. Once my kids got to the age where they were older and I wasn't so much in that sphere anymore, like we had our comfortable groove, we were doing that. And
yeah,
how just when you start something and you're really excited about it. So when my kids were younger and I was like reading all the books and doing all these things and all of that.
yeah,
But as they got older, I kind of lost that. And I did sort of push on with it for a while, because it was good. I could run a summit once a year and I had these products up and we were earning a good income. But yeah, it was about mid last year. I said, oh, I'm so tired of it. I don't want to talk about homeschooling anymore. And,
yeah. Well,
I'll have a shot at selling it.
yeah,
Yeah, so I did sell it for a really good price too. So, if you do have a business that you're not that keen on anymore,
yeah,
or if you're thinking of starting something and going, but what if it's not what I want to do in 10 years? Yeah, you can sell
yeah,
online businesses with just digital products, nothing else. Like my husband said, it just all came from my head,
yeah.
and yeah.
That's quite incredible when you can have something like that. And so just tell me a little
Yeah.
bit more about business in your backpack.
So um, it's basically, like I said, teaching homeschoolers, world
Mhm.
schoolers, people who can't work,
Yeah.
basically, how to take their knowledge and their experience and turn it into digital products. So whatever that may be. I'm big on online courses,
Mhm.
summits, and affiliate marketing, because I've found that all to work really, really well with
Yeah.
my life, which is, sort of fairly equivalent to the life of the people that I've been working with.
Yeah.
I'm still coming up with exactly what I'll be doing as I go, because I don't plan out too far ahead, because I like to actually work with people, get to know them, and build it with them, basically. So, it's easy to be in a group and say this is what everyone needs, but
Yeah.
it isn't necessarily what people need. And if you put all your effort into creating that and then go to sell it at the end and no one buys it, then you're kind of back to square one. So the biggest problem people kept telling me they had was that they didn't really know how to choose a topic,
Yeah.
or they had too many ideas and they weren't sure which one to choose, and they were getting stuck on this stage for a while. So I've got a free course called the Business Idea Blitz, which gets you sort of brainstorming all your ideas and then narrowing them down, and it's got sort of concrete examples of exactly how to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been the first step. I only finished that last week, so now I'm just kind of putting the polish on it and working out what I'm going to do next, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got that at the moment. I've got the free course. There is an upgrade where people can choose to have me review their idea, to look at what they've come up with and
Yeah.
provide other suggestions on, well, how about you narrow this down, or there's a big opportunity with this topic, or this person teaches this really well, you should have a look at their stuff, all that kind of things, because I'm a bit of a collector of ideas and
Yeah.
resources and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Uh,
been really fun so far.
no, it sounds like a really amazing resource as well. So we'll make sure we put the
Mm.
links to that when I put the interview out. Um, but and just sort of really finally to wrap up, yeah, you've been sort of homeschooling for a long time. You've been an entrepreneur for quite a while. For people that are maybe sat on the fence about home ed, or are already home ed but are just worried about getting an income, what tips would you have for them, maybe to sort of help them sort of head in the right direction?
Um, okay, so specifically about income.
Yeah, about income. Yeah,
Yep. I would say if you've got, not everyone has entrepreneurial push. Like my husband has no interest whatsoever. He looks
yeah.
at all this stuff and is just mystified at all of this. And, even while I had all of this stuff, I would say, will you do a workshop for my summit? He'd go, no, I'm not getting on video. Are you kidding me? So, yeah, but if you've got that drive, if
Hmm.
you're like, I could make a business, I could do this, if you look at people doing it and
Yeah,
think, yes, that's what I want, then yeah, then just start. There's so many resources out there now. It's so much easier than it used to be. It's
so
definitely a lot more crowded than it used to be. But I also think too that there's so much opportunity. A lot of people I find, especially women, mothers who have been at home for a long time, downplay their skills and their experience and think, oh, why would anyone ever pay me for anything? They will. I had no qualifications. I was basically someone who had 5 kids by the age of 25, who dropped out of uni at 18. And yet I built that business around homeschooling, and helped a lot of people with that, like, over 10,000 people. So yeah, just give it a shot. Go do my business idea blitz. Come up with an idea, and once you've got your idea, then you can just start building from there. Then you say, okay, well, do I want to help people by consulting with them? Do I want to teach them with courses? Do I want to run some workshops? The opportunity is there to do things in the way that suits you, if that makes sense, whether that's writing, audio, video, one-on-one work, or, products that are more passive. You can really do it whatever way you want. There's no set way that you have to do this. You can build it in a way that suits you. So, and especially too, a lot of the people that I speak to and that I work with, they're just looking at, say, building an extra $5,000 or $10,000 a year. And to get a business to that stage, it is quite easy. Like if you're going for the $100,000 a year or more, that takes a lot more work. But 5 or 10 grand a year, like that's really not hard. So yeah, just give it a shot. It's like home ed, if it doesn't work, you can always just ditch it and get a job if that's what you have to do. Or, you can ditch that idea and start a new idea. It takes a bit of experimenting, but yeah, just have a shot. Put it out there.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really great advice. I love that because as well, when you talk about sort of building a business and seeing what works and what doesn't work and doing what's best for you, you kind of apply the same principles to home ed, don't you? You find out what works for your child, and you keep trying different avenues, and you find out what they want to do and what they don't like, and it just eventually all it just sort of works out.
That's it. Because a lot of people think that they need to have that amazing idea now, and I talk about that in the free course too. Is that, it's like they're waiting for that lightning bolt to come from the sky and hit them, and for them to go, this is my idea. This is the one that's going to work. And it's like, no, it's a bit like homeschooling. You start off and you experiment and you tweak and you change directions, and what you end up with might not look anything like what you actually do. Like with the homeschooling business, I originally was going to have a site where I published like day in the life accounts from other homeschoolers.
Okay,
and I did that for about 8 months, and then I went, this isn't even what people want. So that's when I started creating the course. And after that, I saw an online business summit because they were quite new there. I went, this would be amazing for homeschoolers because everyone's always talking about how they want conferences. So, and then about 3 months later, I ran the first summit, and I actually had people, I ran that as a free one with a paid upgrade. And I had people buying the paid upgrade and saying, I don't even need the paid upgrade, but I really want you to keep doing this. So I'm going to buy it so that you have like the money to keep doing this because we want this and we need this. So, I think that was about 18 months after I started, and it wasn't what I planned. But, once you get in there and you start working with people and you start experimenting, you will work it out. So don't think you need to have your guaranteed idea all planned out in your head before you even start. It'll take a while.
This is the thing, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people get hung up on making this perfect thing. And you just, it's like messy action is better than perfect inaction every single time. Just do it, get it out there, get some feedback, and then
that's it.
Because you can, like you were saying before, you can change it as you go along. It's your business. You can make it whatever you want to make it. And if it's not working, try something else. I always think of this. There's an experiment that was done, and they had like some sort of 7-year-old kids. They had university business graduates, and they had some CEOs, and they put them into 3 separate rooms, and they tasked them with building something out of different materials. And the 7-year-olds won every single time. And this is basically because they just got on with it, and they found out what worked, they found out what didn't work, whereas the rest of them were too busy holding meetings, trying and discussing what would work. They didn't just get on with it, and the kids just got stuck in. And every time they blew the rest of them out the water. And I think it's the same, it's the same principle, basically. Just get in there, get it done. If, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just do it.
Yeah, that's it. I run a workshop occasionally. That's on my site as well. So people are welcome to sign up for that. And in that, I include like my first website header, and it is so ugly. Like I look at it now and it's but you know what? Like it worked. It got me there. It was up
Yeah,
there, and then over time I could refine that. So
yeah,
I look at some of the things I made 8 years ago and they're just rubbish. But well, not rubbish. Like the content was good and all that, but they could have done with a lot more polishing. But
yeah,
it still worked. It doesn't matter. And the only way I got good at it was to keep doing it.
yeah,
So yeah, like I look at the first videos I did,
yeah,
because I was terrified when I started the summit. I was absolutely terrified of being on live video and talking, but yeah, like I did it, and I did
yeah.
it every day, and now I'm at the stage where it barely bothers me. So
Yeah, exactly. I
yeah,
was the
you
same
get
way.
you just get better at it.
I used to hate going on video. I used to hate seeing myself on video,
Yeah.
and you do after a while. It's just you just keep doing it. It's just repetition, and eventually, it's just water off a duck's back. I mean, I'm looking at my first few videos. I'm so wooden. It's horrible. I can't even look at it now.
Yes.
But it just but they did the job, and and things. You just get more natural. So yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. Well,
Yeah, that's it. Don't expect to have everything perfect before you even start. Just get
yeah.
in there, be messy. One of my favorite sayings is done is better than perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you
Yeah.
more. And I think that's
Yeah.
the perfect place to end this. So, thank
Yep.
you ever so much, Kelly. I really, really appreciate you coming and spending the time talking to me. And it's been lovely chatting.
Yeah, same thing. Thank you, Richard.
Take care. See you soon.
See ya.
Bye bye.